look, Rich, this just isn't working for me anymore. I mean, I know we agreed to have an open entertainment relationship. I know we agreed that we would podcast and video with other people, but...
Oh, that Resulka Hussy.
Seeing you, that Hussy! And with Jason Frank! Jason David Frank, whatever the fuck his name is, the Green Ranger! I don't give a shit, he's not Burai! Anyway! It's just...
So is that why you
left me for her?
Is that why you invited me back to play a game which is basically 1 hour long blowjob?
Yes. yes, it is. This is the shoddy makeup sex. No, it's all one great big punishment for leaving me for 3 weeks. I'm going to earworm you for the rest of the month.
Too late. I played this game back in the 80s. For life.
So, welcome, dear viewer. Back, finally, to Tangential Recreation here on the Geek Planet Online channel. I am Matt Dillon, the man with a very howly dog that I'll explain in a minute because Lord knows you're probably going to hear him. Joining me as ever, joining me as he hasn't done for 3 weeks, the whore, is Cobbett.
Hello, everybody.
Bastard. Broke my heart.
Look, if it helps, it's not that I wanted to be away, I just had more important things to do. Like, last week, cleaning my bathroom.
Okay, you almost made me snort coffee through my nose, so we're off to a flying start. Yes, this is Tangential Recreation, the literal waffle chatty show thingy lovingly ripped off from Tangential Deviation on Geek Planet Online. So here, if you've not watched before, here's how it works. There are 60 minutes on the clock. Richard and I start a conversation. We keep the conversation going and we allow it to segue naturally.
And a month later, we finish it.
A month later, we finish recording. And a month later, we're playing Monopoly because we just can't be bothered anymore. And fuck emulation. And yes, and when the buzzer goes off, that's where the conversation ends. We start our conversation with the endy topic of our last episode, which normally Rich would remember.
Let me just see if I can go back that far. I think we were congratulating Her Highness Elizabeth II on the start of her great new reign. I haven't checked in to see how that's going, but, you know, no complaints.
Oh, a friend of mine said about that, you know, that, I'm sorry, if a monarch doesn't have doesn't command a dragon, she's not no monarch in my book. And I'm like, Philip doesn't count. He's a racist dragon, but yes. So we start with the previous episode's finishing topic, and we see where things go from there. It is, if we edited them all together, if anybody could be bothered, just one big long rambling conversation that never seems to end. And as such, we're going to kick off in a minute. The difference between this and, of course, the Tangential Deviation podcast is that we play a game for moving wallpaper. I'm gesturing at my screen like you can see it. I mean, it's there in front of you, but like if I was gesturing to what you could see, I'd be sort of pointing there, like there. I'm like there, doing my lo and behold kind of arms. We play a video game for moving wallpaper, and this week we are playing Bubble Bobble on the potato system. So, I've got 60 minutes on the clock, and the game will start when the timer starts, and the timer will start as soon as I remind Rich what last episode's finishing.
Last week's topic is, where the bloody hell are you?
Pretty much. Last week's finishing subject, which was the oddest NES cart in the world. The timer is away. I'm starting us on the beginning of a fantastic journey in the Cave of Monsters, which is how I met my ex. I should say that actually she watches this. I didn't mean it.
Oops.
I didn't mean it. Oh, shit. I wasn't paying attention to the game.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering if that was lag or reminiscence.
No, that wasn't lag. That was stupidity. Luckily, this has an infinite continue option.
Yeah. I'm warning in advance, I have about a half-second lag, so that's probably why.
That's probably why Rich is shit.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just, my first excuse for many.
I want the Whack Donald's fries.
I was always quite fond of the fact that this game, they had to change the enemy names. So, in Japan, the big boss is called Super Drunk. And of course,
Really?
Nintendo wasn't having any of that, so kind of they gave it something else.
Pisshead?
Yeah. I don't mean the whale, Baron von Blubber, but the guy you actually fight at the end is a really big monster.
Yeah. Before we move on, I was going to explain the dog. So I am currently looking after a very senile, very elderly, very messed up dog. And unfortunately, the only person that can stop him howling and being distressed is my dad. And my dad being out is the reason that I'm dog sitting. So he sounds like he's in a great amount of distress. If the microphone does pick him up, because he won't shut up, I assure you, he's perfectly fine. You don't need to call the RSPCA. Me sitting with him will literally do nothing to stop him howling. He's just blind, deaf, dumb, stupid. And it's, yes. Anyway, and it was like either that or delay recording again, and I think that's taking the mickey at this point, so... Anyway, so the oddest NES cartridge in the world. Now, I know that was a joke you made at the end of our last episode, but there have been some odd NES cartridges, like with... I'm thinking specifically the stuff that had to poke out the flap, because it was extra large, or had, like, in the case of Micro Machines, it had ports.
Well, wasn't it like the Wisdom Tree ones as well? We had to kind of put in another cartridge to make them run, or was that on the SNES?
That was the SNES, wasn't it? Super Noah's Ark 3D. Oh no, there were
they had early ones, things like Sunday Fun Day, which was Menace Beach, only without the increasingly naked girlfriend.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I know there had been. There's me dead again. So until you inevitably lose a life.
And now I'm going to finish the entire game without dying.
Oh, I paused. Sorry, that was a lag. That was
that's cheating.
The pause.
No, in the original game is just like a side-scrolling thing where the basic gimmick is that between levels you see your girlfriend character sort of hanging up against a wall, and every time you kind of cut to her, she's wearing less and less. That is, her clothes are literally rotting because you're taking too long to rescue her. And so they took this game and basically they remade it as this thing called Sunday Fun Day, where you're just a kid trying to get to Sunday school, where it's kind of with like armies of ninjas and so on trying to stop you.
Why would a ninja try to stop you from getting to Sunday school?
They're just hardcore atheists. It doesn't come up much in the anime.
Dawkins!
Oh, bugger. That was
we
deliberate
can,
to get
in
back from
theory,
the
we
game.
can continue. This is one that... Right, this is something that, having gone back to playing some NES games for the first time in a very long time just recently, I'd completely forgotten, which is that NES games actually used the select button to select options before they realised that everybody's instinct was just to use the arrow keys.
Like
the arrow keys, the D-pad even.
Well, it's like a lot of the controls where you've got to get back into the habit of... using all when kind of like A and B are swapped, because at that point it hadn't been decided, which was going to be attack and which was going to be jump, and so you just find the occasional game which just breaks it, and there's no reason not to do it like that, but because nobody does, it's the worst thing ever. Especially if you're doing YouTube videos.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's
read
often...
a manual.
What's a manual? Oh yes, let me just pull the manual out of this entirely legitimate box game I have.
Well, I was never bothered by the fact that people sort of say that I don't have the manual, therefore I'm not sure what to do. But what annoys the hell out of me is when people you're doing kind of like YouTube videos, especially of old games, and it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. This makes no sense. It's the worst game ever. And it's like, no, you're playing a game from a time when the manual was, important. You were meant to read it. That was why it was there. And so kind of complain about some stuff. Fine. I mean, there were bad control systems. But, sort of straight up, I don't know what I'm doing and it's the game's fault. It's like, read the manual. It would give you a breakdown of literally every single stage in this game. Oh, that lag.
I'm not sure how you could do that in the case of Bubble Bobble.
Well, Bubble Bobble doesn't change all that much, but you had a lot of kind of the film license ones where every level would be a different part of the movie. And it would tell you straight up, this is how you play this.
Yeah, and it's something that... well, for a start, we don't get manuals now, for the most part.
No, we get wikis.
Yeah.
For roguelikes and...
manuals written for other people. Speaking of which, I have become hooked on Don't Starve again.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and I haven't played it for a very long time. I played it for a little bit when it well, not even when it first came out, when it was still on Greenlight. And I enjoyed it. And I think Don't Starve is one of those great survival type games where.
Get the umbrella. Get the umbrella.
Okay, why?
It's a level skip.
I'd forgotten that. It's one of those lovely survival games where it's tough, but it's fair. If you work out the logic of something, you do a bit better, and you do a bit better, a little bit better every time, until you've sort of, and you live longer and longer each time. So it's the right kind of frustrating, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Well, I tend to have a big problem with most survival games in that they're built with the expectation that there will be a wiki. And that annoys me. It's like, it's fine if experimentation is actually going to be part of the game, that's cool. Like, kind of, I can take this item, I can put it with this item, kind of make a thing. But it's if you got like the recipe system where it's like, I not only need the thing, but I need to put it with this specific particular stuff, which you're not just going to work out by, random chance.
Yeah, I mean, it's the difference between Minecraft when it started and Minecraft as it is now.
Yeah. It's like, fine, you have wood and you have a metal, that makes
you have wood.
That makes a pickup. It's fine, I get that. But it's when you're sort of down to the level of, I want to create a soda vending machine. I'm not really sure what I'm doing with a few pieces of sort of different metals and maybe Derek Smart coming in to punch it.
Yes. And I mean, I applaud what's been done with Minecraft, because there's a game that actually, yes, it was, oh bugger. Yes, it was potentially had its cult following. I shouldn't have got the shoes. But people would have got bored with it after a while. So, and for no extra cost, if you own the game, you own the game. They keep developing it, keep adding to it. Look, we suck. We know we suck.
I can blame lag. What's your excuse?
Stupidity? Lack of talent.
Oh, I also need to steal those.
So, for no extra cost, you get all this extra content, and it's still being updated.
Well, there's also the whole mod thing kind of means you can make Minecraft whatever you want. I think for me that's one of the more impressive things about it. That Minecraft is to every individual person whatever you want it to be. Survival game, building game, the Hunger Games. If you want to install a mod or something, like a multiplayer thing to hang out with friends, a creative tool, a research thing. There's that project to basically make a geological survey of England using Minecraft.
Oh yes, which it's the map people, Ordnance Survey that are doing it, isn't it? So it's about as official gets, because Minecraft is just this wonderful tool in many regards, and that's because they kept developing it. But it's no longer the sort of game that you can just dive into. No. I mean, what I loved about Minecraft when it first came out, well, when it was in alpha, when I paid for it, was the fact that because nothing was documented, but there wasn't that much to discover, but just enough that if you just played and explored and fiddled, you'd master it relatively quickly. And then once you'd mastered it, you'd already got a good idea of the umpteen things you wanted to do.
Well, without getting too wanky about it, I mean, a lot of the basics of it are very short. It's sort of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Food, shelter, they're kind of immediately kind of graspable things. But with all of this potential later on for doing, other stuff. And with this lag, I'm finding it very hard to bounce on the electrical bubbles. That's annoying.
I find it very hard to bounce on the bubbles in general.
Yeah. I'm just kind of bouncing once and going through them. But yeah, I think kind of when you kind of get past that point, you end up with this sort of thing of you need the wikis and so on. Because something like Red Brick, you aren't going to intuit.
Yeah. Oh, at least we're out of this level.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the one which I dread showing up.
It's like the popcorn.
It's sort of the one where you've got to get really down the sides, but the wind is really, really strong. Popcorn is pretty bad as well.
Yeah.
Oh God, this lag, that's annoying.
Oh, I was watching Bub when I should have been watching Bob, or vice versa.
There we go.
Come here, you bugger. No, there's still one. Oh no, the water got it.
No.
Marvellous.
I remember there used to be, because obviously this is the greatest earworm in the NES library, I think by none. There are better tunes, there are kind of more memorable tunes, but I think this one, because it's just like the same 30 seconds or so, repeating endlessly. And I think what's amazing, and people are probably going to disagree while, watching this, but while playing it, it never gets annoying. I don't know how they manage that.
It's just, kind of...
It's just right. It's kind of that sort of bubbly, if you'll pardon the half pun.
Before we sort of, continue that part of the conversation, before I forget, want to take a moment to kind of publicly marvel at what a gorgeous NES game this is as well. What a great conversion.
Oh, yeah. Aside from some lag, which is kind of inevitable for NES, it's pretty much a perfect conversion.
Yeah, absolutely. I went back, because I mentioned on a previous episode, when we were discussing sort of early games we'd played and whatever, that playing this on the Commodore 64, the Commodore 60 version of Bubble Bobble, was, still is one of my fondest gaming memories with my best friend at the time. We'd go around to his house, load it up on his C64.
Yeah, I play this with friends all the time. It's just such a perfect sort of two-player game.
Yes, absolutely. And... I suppose we need to sort of jump inside there. It's been so long since I played this.
Yeah, no, I think with this one you're kind of meant to go for the lightning strikes.
Ah! Well, that's the thing I can do. Come on, lightning.
Oh, come on.
Lightning strikes!
But it's kind of rare to kind of get, even like on the NES, you're kind of the simultaneous two-player games.
Yeah, there was a lot of alternating turns. Oh, come on! That was by a gnat's bollock. We'll get the old hurry up in a minute, you wait.
Oh god, Baron von Blubber, he is such a prick.
Oy vey. Yeah, there we go.
Well, at least they're fast, that actually makes it easier, because these things are so slow that... Hey.
We can't kill them, then, can we?
You cannot kill those at all.
Come on! Oh, come on!
I don't think you can kill them.
Oh, this is just... I was praising this game, and now I want to punch things.
Well, you kind of get those sort of occasional annoying ones. This would be fine if it
In
wasn't...
your face! Go on,
I think this one was so nice because there were so many maps that even if you're playing it a lot, you'd kind of usually forget the order. I mean, unless you're kind of trying to sort of speedrun it or something. Oh, I didn't realise I had a long range. Come on, come to me.
Come to Uncle Richie. Yeah, the thing is, it's popping them that's the thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, but on this one they all go into the middle bit, so that's kind of not too big of a deal.
Oh, I'd forgotten about the invisible current. So, this is a really gorgeous conversion. Like I say, I played the C64 version. I did give that a go a couple of months ago, loaded it up on an emulator, just to see if it kind of fit with my memory. And although it's kind of... It's a weird bit of cognitive dissonance, because the graphics are exactly what I remember from the Commodore 64 in general, which is better than you'd get on the Spectrum.
Oh, crap.
Whether you'd hate to admit it or not, because of the increased colours and memory and whatnot. But at the same time, they're not how I remember Bubble Bobble being. I remember Bubble Bobble looking more like the arcade on the Commodore 64. I mean, it does a fantastic job. It's a great conversion. It's not as good as the NES, but the NES has more power and grunt to it, to be fair. So that was always going to be the case.
Well, the nostalgia is kind of interesting. I was talking to Ron Gilbert the other day, for just an interview at Thimbleweed Park, and kind of one of the things they were pointing out was that their game is basically a Commodore 64 for now, and they said they could in theory do Thimbleweed Park as a C64 game now. The puzzles they've got in mind, the locations, there's no reason they couldn't. But what they're using the modern thing for is to make the game that you remember in your head rather than what you actually have got. And So, for example, lighting. They can kind of light the characters as they walk under streetlights and so on. And, you know, the little details that you don't really notice, but you notice if they don't do it.
Yes, I know what you mean. That was a hell of a name drop there, by the way.
Well, it was only an interview. It's not like we're buddies or anything.
But you could be. Tell him your thoughts on Sierra Adventure Games. He'll be your buddy for life. Get him playing Quiplash.
Oh, I would love to play Run Gilbert with Quiplash.
He just put how appropriate you fight like a cow for everything. You'd be really disappointed.
But everybody else would.
And he'd just roll his eyes.
Who is Mike Dawson?
Well, we I after being introduced to that game by you and Resulka,
oh god,
here it is.
This was not too bad because of the fire, but as long as they don't bounce out too fast.
But Rich, don't you want to know why we keep starting fires? I will be honest, it is my desire.
I only know that only we can prevent them.
But those will be forest fires. And did you read recently that policy and those adverts are responsible for there being more forest fires or worse forest fires? Because the thing about forest fires is they burn off all the excess brush and whatnot. So whilst they're awful and difficult to fight, bugger.
You need a certain number of them for
correct
the actual trees themselves.
And
anyway.
Thanks to the whole Smokey the Bear campaign in the US, people were being a lot more careful, so they weren't happening. So all that was happening was the brush was building up over decades, and then when a fire did happen, oh by golly, did it happen?
Yeah. There was a funny gag in Quest for Glory 3, which sort of mostly said this of Africa type world called Fricania. And Fricana. Throughout the whole series, you can kind of make camp in places. But if you did it in this game, you had to kind of specifically put the fire out after you left. Otherwise, basically, you kind of got Trumpy the elephant would come along to complain at you.
That's nice. That's a nice little gag. I like that.
Cute. It's kind of like Mr. Rossetti from Animal Crossing and so on.
I mean, I loved the crying Indian gag at the end of Wayne's World 2. You know, that's a beautiful long gag as well, because the naked Indian, of course, turns up, or the half-naked Indian turns up to guide Wayne in his dreams. So he's sort of present from the start, but he's just one long spiral towards this gag at the end, basically. And I think that's bloody amazing.
You do have to love kind of the sort of setup gags.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, games don't tend to be very good at doing them. So kind of like the ones that's really, really build up, so tend to be few and far between. There's quite
Monkey Island did a great one.
Which one was Monkey Island?
With the boat, and the fact that you can accidentally capsize your own boat, and then if you do that, you get a little post-credits.
Oh, it's not, I don't think people did it accidentally. It's like, kind of, I'm going to show those guys.
Well, yeah.
I was very deliberate about sinking that thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it turns out that's canonical, because as they later on explain, it's very, very difficult to escape from Monkey Island, TM.
Oh, don't remind me about Escape from Monkey Island.
I can't really, that game didn't exist.
The alien resurrection of the Monkey Island franchise.
In Space Quest 6, it's kind of a fun running gag. Completely random. Basically, you spent the entire game with a fish. And it's like kind of just randomly someone gives like kind of, you know, thanks for that, and here's a fish. And then you're like, the end of the next bit, it's like kind of, you're about to leave the spaceship, and the guy just sort of pops out and said, "Hey, mister, you almost forgot your fish." And then it just kind of keeps on kind of crying up and cropping up again and again and again. And then just at the end, that is the item you need to sort of just defeat the final boss. Because
oh,
fish,
really?
Because they're kind of in a brain, and fish is brain food. But by this point, the fish has become rotten, so it kills them.
Oh, that's actually great. I think that's adorable. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. So yes, I started to say I've sort of become drawn back to Don't Starve, and the reason for that, believe it or not, of all things, is Fallout Shelter. Because I have become heavily addicted to Fallout Shelter. Ridiculously addicted to Fallout Shelter. You've got no idea. I'm twitching just thinking about it because I've got to check on my vault and I'm busy here recording with you. That's how bad it's got.
I'm sorry to keep you from your fake people.
Well, they've been there for me, Rich, while you've been gallivanting off to Germany and talking to Ron Gilbert.
I think I have a problem with Fallout Shelter just in basic premise.
Yeah.
In that I don't understand why I'm building a Fallout Shelter after the nuclear apocalypse.
Shut up, that's why. Don't spoil it. Don't you spoil everything.
I just don't understand it. It's
With
like,
your questions.
the wasteland is fine. It's sort of like the Happiness Hotel from the Muppets rather than a Fallout Shelter.
Like I say, it's shut up, that's why. But playing Fallout Shelter, and of course it's a resource management sim, and you're slowly building up a successful vault over time, and so on and so forth. And yeah, great. And I'm having a lot of fun with it, but of course, unless you're actually willing to spend money, you have to be patient. Now that's fine, because actually it's a great it's a great example of a free-to-play game that's done right.
Yeah, I don't remember finding it kind of too objectionable. I think it's only like recently they've added a thing which if you don't pay for, you're kind of at a disadvantage with the whole Mr. Handy thing.
Yeah, that was added with an update, wasn't it? It was the Labour Day update or something of that nature.
Ironically.
Indeed. Well, maybe not ironically, maybe deliberately. Oh, no, I don't want to die.
You can't always get what you want.
Yes, the philosopher Jagger. And, yeah. But it's... but
this is kind of a bit of a problem because I can't actually get out of here because I keep on... The lag keeps on meaning that I bounce out of the thing.
Sorry, get him!
Thank you for coming to me. What a nice enemy.
So... It's a lot of fun. It's ridiculously fun. Of course, you can get obsessive over it and name the dwellers after people you know and watch them mate and laugh. And as I have done, I named 2 dwellers after my friends Greg and Sarah, and their offspring just won't stop rutting. I had to just stop breeding after a while because I realised I'd bred one of their offspring with another one of their offspring. And I didn't realise, like, at this point the family tree was so convoluted I had no idea, like, who was whose parents. So, it was, it got pretty bad. It got Game of Thrones bad.
Ooh.
Yeah, but...
I'm really looking forward to Fallout 4, though.
I am really looking forward to Fallout 4. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, but you don't get to do much in one go. It's one of those things that you dip in, spend 5 or 10 minutes with, put it down, get on with the rest of your day, come back, etc., etc.
Oh.
And I like, the problem is, it almost feels to me like once you get going, you have to stop, I don't want to play it in bursts. I want things to move on a bit quicker so I can sit down and play a proper session,
Well, that's kind of been my annoyance with a lot of kind of free-to-play stuff. It's like I don't like the system. So it's like, I would rather pay for a thing than to be able to kind of play more of a thing.
Yes, but that's the difference between free-to-play done wrong and free-to-play done right, I guess.
Right, so it's a difference between 90% of free-to-play and, the handful of things which are kind of worth doing. It's like, for example, I thought Angry Birds, the original, did it okay. Angry Birds 2 is a shit show.
Yeah, and I still don't understand why they did that with Plants vs Zombies 2.
Oh, that was so annoying.
It's
so
like
they took one of the best games of the previous generation, and they ruined it with that shit.
Yeah, and there's no need to it. It's like, what are you worried you're not going to make millions of dollars?
I will pay you for Plants vs Zombies 2, as I would at the time. Now I'm too annoyed with it.
Well, it's like, yeah. Well, this is it. If they released it now,
well, I don't care anymore. But had they released it at the time, I'd have been fine with that.
Exactly. It's like if you went ahead and released a Game of the Year edition. Well, not a Game of the Year edition, but you get my point. A sort of all-in edition, definitive edition. Can you get up there?
Not
oh no,
either.
you're going to be worse at bouncing than me.
This is the trouble. I can't get up a couple of them, but
Oh, here they come.
you can get up close and kind of do the insta kill.
I would if I didn't keep dying myself, because I suck at games. I really suck. I really suck.
But I mean, just about all of the free-to-play games I've sort of played have been...
Go!
Oh, screw it.
Get him! Good boy.
Have been the level pack kind of thing, which I don't mind at all. It's like, you're enjoying this game, you want to play more of it, here's more content, I'm totally cool with. But if it's like anything which uses the energy system, it's like, as soon as I see it, I just uninstall it. It's like, nope, sorry, nope.
Yeah, well, quite. Like you, I'd rather pay for a game outright and have all the content in.
Well, I'm even okay with you, like, we'll give you this little bit for free, but then for the other level packs, and kind of that's okay, because I can buy it cheaply, and then if I like it, kind of put more money in. But I'm not willing to kind of do games as, arcade machines. It's like, basically like quid a credit, and it's always so expensive as well. Like with the amount you have to buy to kind of get any actual progress.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I mean, in principle, I'm with you on the point of start off with the game, then pay for more credits, yada yada. Like, yeah, okay, fine.
Well, even then, I mean, I will make exceptions. I quite like Hearthstone. And Hearthstone, the way that its arena mode works, with like constructed deck for Magic fans, is basically you can buy a ticket with in-game gold, which you can earn by doing like quests and winning games and so on. But it's also like a £1.50 if you want to buy in directly, and that's for me is like a fair compromise. Like kind of if you play it casually as I do, no worries. But if you want to kind of play that mode a lot, then you pay up, because you're not likely to be kind of doing paying for cards separately. But so you kind of get like £1.50 gives you at minimum 3 games using a deck made of any card in the game, and that sort of seems fair enough. Well, ideally, it'd be a bit cheaper, but I don't really have a problem with that per se. Although Heroes of the Storm is not quite as generous. By a long stretch. Oh, come on.
Yeah, I mean...
Hands off this fucking thing.
Like I say, I mean, in principle, I'm kind of with you on that, but in practice, I am just so tired now of, with practically every mobile game, being sold a platform, not a gaming experience.
Yeah.
It's...
Well, it is annoying. It's like kind of, you're a game. It's like we don't have a relationship. I just want to, kill some time, on the loo or whatever.
Yeah, well, exactly.
And it's like I don't really want to sort of watch your adverts and kind of be sort of. I'd be okay kind of if it was like for funding, like if it's like play our game, we'll put an advert at the bottom of the screen. Don't care at all. But it's when every single round you just feel patronised.
Yeah.
Because it's just throwing adverts for crap at you.
Yeah, no, this is it. It's so infuriating, and I'm just done with that, Crikey, am I like Alice, just infinitely falling?
Alice, or maybe someone falling down Abaddon, the eternal void.
Oh well, I got an ice cream.
These dinosaurs live bad lives.
Wicked lives, yeah.
Speaking of bad lives, something which I've always found surprising, whenever you bring up Bubble Bobble, at least with people I've spoken to, people always want to tell you how much better Rainbow Islands is. Rainbow Islands is shit. Stop liking Rainbow Islands. It is so boring.
Well, they are perfectly entitled to their very wrong opinion, Richard.
And then you go from that to people pretending they like New Zealand Story, and no.
Okay, no, I draw the line there, sir. New Zealand Story is great fun.
It is okay, but it's not, Bubble Bobble. It's like Bubble Bobble has this kind of nice, kind of simplistic perfection to it. Whereas the New Zealand Story is a more annoying platform game than most people remember, which at best kind of filled the gap before, Sega had anything to sell you.
Well, you know what? New Zealand Story, like I say, was a lot of fun.
Yeah, now of course New Zealand Story is The Hobbit.
Yes, true. Well done. I see what you did there. But it does suffer from being one of those arcade games that's think it's I don't think that's a fair assessment. In what way is it obtuse?
Just the level design of it and kind of sort of finding all the bits and pieces.
I can kind of see why you think that way. So I'm not criticising your point of view, but I don't agree. I mean, it's
to me, New Zealand sort of like kind of like what you get in later games, kind of the buy the strategy game kind of games. It's sort of like you don't find stuff because it's in a place where it's fun to find. You find something that's been sort of hidden specifically to be obscure. It's kind of like the original Zelda versus the later Zelda games. You know, where you kind of go from like the idea of like bomb everything to, you know, we'll kind of put cracks on the wall and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, do you know, I tried playing the original Zelda the other day.
Yeah, I never liked Zelda. Love Link to the Past. Link to the Past.
Yes,
amazing.
Love Link to the Past.
I never kind of got the original.
No, and I was like, I was expecting something a bit like A Link to the Past, but a bit more primitive, you know, being the first and all this. And then what I got was, like, you're just dumped in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, here, just work shit out.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like, I get that. Now, bearing in mind, I wasn't playing this on an emulator. I was playing this. A friend of mine gave me the Game Boy Advance NES Classic version.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I didn't have the privilege of having the manual. I just got given the cartridge, but it was a legitimate copy. And
to YouTube to complain.
And yeah, I know. I couldn't work out what the hell I was supposed to be doing, and there were no pointers. Now, again, I mean, this comes back to the point that you made about, you know, games from an era where the manual was very important, and admittedly, the game was released with a manual. I just didn't have access to it, so fair play. But oh, I got that bugger at the cost of my own life.
For me, the problem with Zelda is that it's a game about exploration where what you find isn't all that interesting. But that's by modern standards, not by the standards of the time. Whereas I found that kind of with Link to the Past, I think it kind of sort of holds up because it's such an amazing piece of gamecraft. I mean, I mean, something like the Haunted Woods, and kind of when you find the Master Sword, you pull it, and suddenly it goes from being this sort of misty and dark place, this sort of triumphant thing, and finding that there's a dungeon inside a house, you know, where Blind lives, and you get to what feels like the end of the game, but then it continues, and it
does that thing that, you know, as we were talking about Fallout, it does the thing that Fallout and Skyrim do, where it rewards exploration by having things for you to find. Having things for you to find in logical places, like, oh, that wall looks a little bit different. I wonder what happens if I bomb it.
But I think one difference between Zelda, Link to the Past, and a lot of games, is that a lot of games sort of claim there's lots of stuff to find, but it's just points.
Yes.
You know, it's like, you know, we'll put a thing here and go, yeah, you can go and find it, but there's no reason to. Whereas with Link to the Past, it's like it's bombs, it's magic, it's you know, a fairy,
extra items, or
something fun to play with. I mean, it's like I don't remember the medallions having any particular major purpose in the game for most of it.
I think you're right. I don't think they did. They were just something that you could unlock.
They might have been needed at something. It's been too long since I played them, so sorry if I got that wrong. But I know that it had that sort of element of, I have this really special thing.
Oh no, hang on. I think there were three, weren't there?
Yeah, there was like one which was lightning, one which was
fire, and one which was quake. And I think the quake medallion was required to open a dungeon.
I know one of them was, at least one.
But I think that was the medallion that was in the obvious place that you couldn't possibly miss it. Whereas the other two, and like the ice wand, for example,
wasn't that needed for one of the bosses who had like a fire head and an ice head?
Do you know, I've been replaying. I actually paused quite a while ago. I feel awful now. I've just realised I started a playthrough of Link to the Past on my Retron 5. A, to really test out what the Retron 5 could do, but B, to actually finally finish it, because I never finished it when I was a kid. And I've just realised that I got sidetracked and I've not gone back to it, and I feel awful. But maybe it is. I didn't get. The point is, I didn't get as far as that boss.
Well, it's been a long time since I played. I just remember that even if they have a use in the game, you need to go and get them. It's a very small use for the amount of power they have.
But you can find it at any point once you've got access to that area of the map, and it's not something you're specifically sent on a quest to find. It's just something that you can happen upon. I'm sure if you don't have it in your possession by the time you get to that dungeon, there'll be some sort of clue, because Zelda 3 is very good at that sort of thing. But what is this, Space Invaders now?
But I mean, just the whole game is just so wonderfully set up. I mean, that entire intro, you know, where you basically rescue. I mean, it's not the first time it was done, but you know, just as a gimmick, like kind of whole go and rescue the princess, and you do that in the first half hour in the tutorial. And obviously, this is kind of before you know everybody was on the internet, so you had no idea how long the game actually was. And doing stuff like you know, you go and get the 3 medallions, and quite likely you could sort of say, well, that was a very satisfying game. A bit shorter than I was expecting, but still very, very good. And then of course, the villain kind of sort of pulls the mwahahaha, and it's like, oh, entire alternate world.
Oh yeah, and the beauty of how that was done as well, and the sort of technical aspect of that was utterly wonderful. Is that a baddie in a bubble?
Yes,
it was.
I love the music in Zelda. I mean, just nothing had that much power on the SNES before. You know,
no,
just
you're
that,
right.
that raw kind of heroic feeling. I mean, it's not real instruments, obviously, but it had that sort of same drive as if it actually had like a full orchestral score. And just the sheer variety of tunes and, you know, the different moods they kind of came up with.
Well, it's like the music that from the Final Fantasy series that Nobuo Uematsu composed, in that it wasn't composed on a full orchestra or on real instruments, but they were written with that in mind.
Well, and the SNES, I think, was sample-based anyway, so I mean, a big chunk of the Zelda cartridge is the music.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the SNES is a sample-based system rather than, you know, just...
Oh, the SNES is a sample-based system. I didn't realise that.
And so, oh, piss off. These are the drunk guys, of course, throwing their bottles. But they but they have another name in the Europe version, because Nintendo didn't believe that people were adults.
Is it like Pokemon? They're coffee fiends. There's very famously, and I didn't realise this, there's very famously a character in the original Pokemon game, or the original Western releases of the Pokemon games, that's blocking your way to a section of the map. So you need to go and... Basically, it forces you to go and talk to somebody, and who will then give you an item that you need to progress. And it's actually, in terms of how it progresses you and your character and keeps areas of the map locked off until you're ready to deal with them and whatnot, it's very well done. Great level design in Pokemon, I would say. Great map design. But he's lying face down in the grass. And if you talk to him, he says, "I'm sorry, I haven't had my morning coffee yet. I'm too tired." So you go and talk to somebody else, and when you come back, he's standing up and he's had his morning coffee. Whereas in the Japanese original, if you go and there's actually a little girl standing next to him, and he just groans. And when you talk to her, she says, "My granddad's been up drinking again," and he's basically hungover. He's a sake fiend.
Oh, umbrella.
Oh, wait. Oh, right,
One
yeah.
left.
I'm on it. I think I'm on it. Oh, shit.
Come on, quickly. There we go.
Do. Oh, yeah, like we're going for the speed run here.
Well, you know, get through as much of it as possible.
Well, knowing us, we're going to die so often, Mind you, we're a level 56 out of 99.
Well, the boss is a bitch, but you can only actually get the ending if you're playing in 2-player mode.
Oh, so we may be able to demonstrate the ending to all, unless I've died. Mind you, I have actually outlived you this time around.
Yeah. No, the boss is a pain. He sort of takes a lot of shots, but you've got to sort of hit him with lightning bolts. But if you if you do it with one player, then basically you kind of get a "this is not the true ending" thing.
Yeah, you left your brother behind, you douche. That's a very phallic thing.
The cute
That's the Hulk's willy. Like what I made in Minecraft. Where are you, you little scuffly bastard?
But yeah, I really like kind of hidden stuff. I always quite liked in Final Fantasy things like the weapons. That's just like these sort of additional challenges if you think you're hard enough. And Dragon Age kind of has the same thing with the dragons, which kind of makes sense. This is the one which I fucking hate.
Oh, fucking cocking space invaders.
Yeah,
don't just sit there, Bubble.
This is why it sucks, because kind of the gravity is not on your side.
Okay, dude. Fire a bubble at me. Shit.
Yeah.
You do it. Oh, you're right. You're right about the wind.
Yeah, because that's pushing them down. Well.
So you need to be what? Spot on in the middle.
Well, no, because it pushes that down as well.
So how the fuck do you get up there?
With much swearing, if I remember correctly.
Oh, that's just rubbish.
Yeah, in my head, this is as I remember, this is basically the worst level in the game.
If only we got an umbrella.
I know it's possible, but there is a trick, and I don't remember the trick.
Is it just layering loads of bubbles on each other?
Might be.
Although
I'm dead now, so.
Already?
Yeah.
Okay. How are we going to do this?
Well, you've got the green sweet, so that makes it easier.
I've got the green swede.
I think so, because you're firing a lot quicker.
Not anymore, I'm not.
No, last week you died.
Well, yes. Yes, I did, Richard.
And you can't take it with you.
Oh, come on.
I'm just going to cheat. I was trying to...
Oh my god, I'm really crap and I suck really balls. Really balls? Like, I can't even make up lyrics. I'm that rubbish. I'll carry on telling you about Don't Starve, because I'll get there in the end. Yeah, I've been really enjoying Fallout Shelter. I was looking for something else that had that kind of, building up a sort of roguelike type thing vibe that wasn't Minecraft. And so I sort of went back to it, and now I can't stop playing it. I've been really enjoying it on the PS Vita. In fact, the games that I've really enjoyed on the Vita, I've realised are all indie games anyway. Yeah, it's alright. The grim...
And if I remember correctly on this one, I'm trying to find a thing online. You've kind of got to blow one so that it doesn't actually appear until you fall onto it, and then kind of really kind of quickly go up, and then it's luck-based, whether or not the Space Invaders hit you.
Bullshit.
It's a horrible...
It's bullshit! It's fucking bullshit! I did not!
Oh, hang on. Oh, that's right. Duh. Curses.
Okay. I'm sort of hyper combo. Okay. Well, you're dead again, so talk about something. Talk about your experiences with Don't Starve.
I've only played it once for about 5 minutes. That was short.
Oh, that's right. We were going to try it for one of these.
Yeah, but it was sort of too much to focus on while still talking.
Yeah, mind you, this isn't much better.
Well, I enjoy other stuff I've been playing. Finally working through Arkham Knight for an article called Arkham Knight Abridged. But the short version of that is, wow, did that go from one of my most anticipated games of the year to one that I just can't wait to be over. It's just so boring. Whereas conversely, Metal Gear Solid 5 is surprisingly awesome.
Shall we start again?
The whole game?
Yes.
Right, no, God, no. Go back to continue. We can do this. We can do this.
What's this wee stuff, white man? See? Can we do this, Richard?
Well, we only have to get up there once.
Oh, I got shoes. I don't want shoes. Don't make me go all floopy.
Oh, God. Yeah, we only got to get up there once, and then they're really easy to get. It's just that...
Oh.
It's that jumpiness.
I really want to hurt them. I want to hurt them so bad, Reg.
Yeah, but no, you just go... Just hug the wall. And if
I am hugging the wall.
And if you press
the wall is my friend.
And
I'm making love to the wall, Rich.
The thing is, if you press it while jumping, then you can kind of get height on the bubble that you blew. These fucking things. Actually, hang on a second. Yeah, yours.
No, I just popped them.
Oh, arse. I don't remember what that does. That will do.
Fuck you!
Eat
Fuck you!
Eat Necronomicon, bitches.
Oh, that made me hard. Now I've died. But it's worth it.
Yep,
We'll continue here. I feel like Captain Picard in First Contact.
The line shall be
The
drawn
line
here.
must be drawn here. I'm not planning to delve too much into politics, but this whole Corbyn thing today threw up a tweet that a few people I know have retweeted. I forget who from. Nobody I recognise. Maybe they're a political pundit, maybe they're not. I don't know. But they said, I've overheard a lot of people, a few people in my circle saying that we're feeling a lot less Hufflepuff and a lot more Gryffindor now that Dumbledore's here. And it's like, excuse fucking me? Alright, for a start, as a Hufflepuff, I find that offensive. Secondly, the Gryffindors are fucking retarded. I'm sorry, I can't think of another word. That's a horrible word to use, but they are. They're rubbish. They just lob themselves at danger. Oh, what's that? It looks a bit dangerous. I'll throw myself out. That's why Gryffindors don't go to Australia, because they'd be dead in seconds. Oh, look, there's a funny-looking spider. It looks dangerous. I'll throw it in my face! Secondly, Dumbledore was a dick! Dumbledore groomed a 10-year-old boy for murder! You don't get more dickish than that unless you actually molest him first!
Oh, they have a whole other teacher for that. No, I always kind of feel really worried when you get something like the Corbyn situation. I should point out, I've got nothing against him, specifically. I'm not, sort of stressing any sort of stuff, but it's whenever you get a charismatic politician who kind of everyone sort of starts believing in, I always start feeling like we're at the start of one of those sort of dystopian sci-fi things, in like the irony part of the movie. Where everyone's getting really, really excited, but then it sort of turns out that, in fact, he is actually one of the reptilian overlords.
Or something or other.
Yeah. And again, it's nothing about him personally, it's just in general. I distrust charismatic politicians. I always think they're plotting something.
Yeah, but you know what? Having watched his acceptance speech today, he doesn't come across as a charismatic politician. He comes across as a very tired old man that's just sick of this shit.
I kind of have the same thing. I'm not quite sure where the charisma talk comes from.
It's because he's popular and people are shouting out that... What I don't like is people acting like that's it, all the bad things are going away now because Corbyn's in charge. It's like, no.
Yeah. It's did you not learn your lesson from Clegg, guys?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a little unfair to put Corbyn and Clegg in the same... Because the thing is, you go back and look, even at the time... I believed in Clegg and I did feel very burned by him and what he did, but even when I was watching him debating, it's like, yes, these are well-rehearsed, smooth politician answers. They're very good ones, and they're certainly a lot less self-serving on the surface than everyone else, but that's what they are. I never lost sight of the fact that there was a politician spinning a line, even if it was a good one. With Corbyn, though, he genuinely does feel like he's just a bloke speaking. And I think that's what's spoken to a lot of people. Well, and he's very gracious as well in victory, which
in fairness is the easiest thing in the world.
What's that?
Being gracious in victory. It's like it really annoys your opponent.
Maybe so. I mean, he even had some nice things to say about Harriet Harman.
Well, that is admittedly quite difficult, but... No, I always sort of think that there are certain books that I think people ought to read, and I think probably something like the Pratchett book, Night Watch, should be compulsory reading. See, it's not that it's saying anything that other people haven't, it's just the way that... I love Pratchett. I mean, everything he wrote is amazing. But in terms it's not like the most deep politics you'll ever find. but I do think that it nets, so it gets right into the mindset of not only ha ha ha, this is what people don't see, but why people want that to be the case badly enough that they become stupid.
Yes. No, that's utterly fair. I mean, mind you, I've never read Terry Pratchett, but I do think he's a hack.
Oh, Jonathan Jones's thing.
It's a Jonathan Jones joke. Yes, of course I've read.
Fuck that guy so hard. I didn't read his article, but still, fuck that guy.
Do you know what got me about that whole thing was that all of the, well, not all of the people actually, to be fair, but so many of the people in my own circles that were utterly spitting bile at this, baying for blood over this. And I totally get that sentiment. It made me cross as well, even though it was very blatantly clickbait.
Yeah.
As proven by the fact that, the Guardian strategically waited a couple of hours and then published a clearly pre-prepared piece from another journalist. I don't know what the wand does, but I've got it.
I don't know what anything does apart from the umbrella.
But yeah, sort of rebuttal, as a rebuttal to the whole thing, And it's like, yeah, and actually you're doing double bubble there because you've done the Daily Mail thing of getting everyone all riled up over a hate piece, as it were, and therefore sharing the link and effing and blinding and doing your job for you and getting you lots and lots of lovely clicks and advertising revenue. And then you've published a rebuttal knowing full well that everyone that hated the first article will share the second article going, see, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And it's utterly disgusting. As Dave Probert quite rightly pointed out on Twitter, it's a very astute thing he said, it's like, the world does not need a left-wing Daily Mail. I countered with, well, the world doesn't need any form of the Daily Mail, but yes, quite. Point absolutely taken. Just made me really, really cross. But anyway, the point I was making is that so many of the people that were sort of outcrying, disgusting and rah-rah-rah, the next day when it had all blown over, because of course it was a social media storm in a teacup, as these things often are, they were back sharing Guardian links. And it's like, well,
but that happened.
I know why you're doing that in your mind.
It is annoying. It's like, it's why it's quite funny when people start talking about boycotting sites. It's like, well, you either read them or you don't, but generally people don't stop reading over a specific thing. They just, find the story, go to the site, complain. It's like, I made an account just to say this, and, I don't know, it's sort of frustrating.
Burn! All of you burn!
Why am I trying to climb up there when I can just go down here?
Well, I was wondering.
So I hadn't noticed the things. But no, I do think the Pratchett thing was probably the only good thing that came out of the Pratchett thing was it made a lot of people talk about what an important writer he is.
Really?
This is one of those sucky ones. And I do think that while I'm not sure, I can't
really skilled. Oh, hello. Come with me. Oh, fuck-a-doodle-doo.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten there were levels like this. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, I'd say that from my point of view, he's one of the more important writers because he just is the most successful humanist writer in sort of living memory. And I think that I think that probably he would be very cross at people kind of sort of trying to build philosophy around what he wrote. But I think you could do a hell of a lot worse.
Oh yeah.
And I think that sort of the more that is kind of mentioned, people are reading them for more than, he's a funny comedy writer, the better. Because certainly a lot of the stuff which he sort of says is important, I think. It's not philosophy, it's not religion, but I think that the points made are made so well.
Yeah.
I mean, even down to someone like Granny, who, sorry, Adam, lives. So like Greg, kind of you have that kind of sort of mindset, just sort of trying to get into that mindset of the bad person doing the right thing for the right reason or the wrong reason or whatever, or someone like Vimes, where the entire sort of premise is that he's only a good man because he's watching himself to make sure he stays one. And just you get down to the more subtle stuff like Carrot. And not just the whole kind of the king doesn't want to be king, but just the way he goes about it, and the fact that he can also do the bad side of a good person, and kind of how easy it is for things to slip and change and become something they were never meant to be.
As with Granny's sister, for example.
Yeah, but I was thinking more kind of things like kind of Carrot, that when you have the glimpses of what would happen if Carrot was the king that people wanted him to be, as people point out, that would actually be quite terrifying.
Mm.
You know, it's like that. People only kind of get on with him because he's smart enough to know that a king is not what the city needs, even if it's him.
Yes. Oh well, that's somebody got. Did I die? Or am I still floating? No, I think I'm dead.
No, you are dead.
I am in fact dead. No, absolutely. I mean, Pratchett was a phenomenal writer and a phenomenal satirist.
I can't think of anyone better. I mean, I think you can. Long term, I kind of don't like do the whole best ever, but he's certainly the most important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And this actually segues me to another subject actually, which is I was visiting with my close friends and their two kids, who I love dearly. I refer to them as my nieces. They refer to me as Uncle Matt, and so on and so forth. You know, very, very close friends. And I was chatting with them and also with their eldest, because she's just hit GCSE year, and she's picking subjects and stuff, and she's basically doing a Hermione. Like, if there was such a thing as a time turner, she'd be taking all the classes. She knows what she wants. She knows what she wants to be. She knows which university she wants to go to, and she's going for it. And I think she's utterly brilliant. And Amber, if you're watching this, you are utterly brilliant, and you should know that. It's fantastic that you're so driven and working towards it. But she was talking about, and her mum was talking about what they do. They've changed the curriculum and how they do English now. So now they're given two closed texts. There's no testing. There's no exams or coursework. There's just these books and going over and over them again. And then at the end of the year, everybody, regardless of which set they're in, gets the same paper. And I mean, the implications of that is not what I plan to discuss. Although, if there's time and you want to, that we can. It's the books that they've picked, because it's oh gosh, I forget now. Something by Dickens and Macbeth.
Yeah, I did Macbeth.
And it's like, look, I get their importance, I get their significance. What I don't get is why we are still teaching kids literature from sources hundreds of years old, when there are just as many modern novels or novels released within, the last 60 years, 50 years, 25 years that can teach those things, and probably with a lot more resonance than authors and playwrights that are hundreds of years dead.
Yeah.
I get why Shakespeare is important.
Yeah, I get why Shakespeare is. When it's people like Congreve, and it's like no. It's like you aren't going to learn anything from William Congreve. I'm sorry. You can like his work, but if you want to kind of do farce or whatever, you would be as well watching something like Frasier.
Well, exactly. In fact, we kind of segued onto that. We started talking about movies, and it's like like Macbeth. I want to make sure I haven't got my Shakespeare plays mixed up, because I'm not in any way, shape, or form a Shakespeare fan or academic. But isn't one of the big themes of Macbeth the duality of man? Or is that?
I don't know. I wouldn't describe it as that myself, but
or is that Othello?
I
don't know. But we were sort of talking about, like, if you wanted to teach kids the duality of man, there's the buzzer. Yeah, if you wanted to teach them that, about the facets of man and changes and there but for the grace of God and that sort of thing, You know, there are movies that do that. I mean, it's not teaching them literature, and I'm not arguing you should teach kids movies in English. But like Moon is a great example of a movie where you've got a man effectively at the end of his life, the decaying clone, and the same man at the beginning of his life, able to have a conversation with himself. And the differences between them based on just 3 years of experiences. It's, you know, a phenomenal thing.
Well, my annoyance with Shakespeare is that I think Shakespeare is very worth teaching, but not as it's usually taught. Because if you do Shakespeare in school, if you kind of watch like the BBC, kind of version of one of the plays, they stick a pin in it and they kill it. Because Shakespeare is not intended, and never was intended to be a high-class thing. It's popularist entertainment. And when you get kind of the traditional kind of version of it, like kind of a guy standing on a stage and declaiming the words, you're doing it wrong. It's like, there's a guy called Ben Crystal who I highly recommend sort of checking out. He did a book called Shakespeare on Toast. He's also sort of done lots of public speaking. And part of his point is that much of Shakespeare relies on the mindset at the time, that when you watch something like Macbeth, you have to filter it through the fact that the people watching it would have believed that witches existed, would have believed in ghosts, or at least kind of wouldn't have the modern sort of sensibility against it. When they're sort of talking about these sort of foreign lands, they would have no idea of them. So kind of it's an escape. And when you've got people on stage, they would quite often be involving the audience. They'd be kind of, the fools would not be sort of standing at centre stage talking into the stage lights. They'd be kind of looking at the audience. It's like kind of, hey, you, have you seen this? Kind of all not quite pantomime level, but more of that sort of sense of bringing people in. And I think if you're only reading the words. And this goes for many, many playwrights. I'm not picking on Shakespeare. Shakespeare is not interesting. If you're sitting in a circle and you've kind of given everyone a line, and it's like, and Macbeth shall your king be until Burnham Wood to high Dante. That is boring as shit, and people aren't going to be into it. And I think unless you can teach Shakespeare properly, don't teach Shakespeare. And I think that the majority of people who are doing English have this annoying belief that it's only good if it's 200 years old, or it's like somebody very specific. It's like you'll have like Alan Bennett, whatever, he was quite popular when I was doing English. Great, he's modern, but again, he was like a very sort of small group of modern authors who were deemed permissible, and most of it was shit like The Way of the World and other stuff which was better, like, say, Catch-22. But I do think that kind of making it a bit more modern makes it more relevant to people, and then you put them into a much better position to understand and, more importantly, appreciate the classics when they go on to read them themselves, which they will do if you've managed to interest them in the first place.
Yeah, well, quite. Focusing the entire GCSE course purely on Dickens and Shakespeare is like teaching only Hitchcock and Tarantino in film school. Like, these are the only two things you need to know, and if you want to know more, you'll have to go and do the other course. It's like, no, bullshit. Those things should be a module, a section, not the entire course. Yeah. And it's just one of the many, many reasons why our government is completely out of touch, and why you don't want an idiot as your flipping education secretary.
Speaking of idiots, before we round off this one, just saying I kind of quickly want to do in Bubble Bobble. Can you get onto password?
Yes.
And punch in G.
Right.
Yes. E.
Yes.
Then JJJ.
J. Jonah Jameson?
Yes. This is the mode where you go and get pictures of Spider-Man instead of jumping on bubbles.
I'm telling you, Bubble Bobble are a menace. Okay. Now what?
And then that should kind of unlock the final level.
Right. So you want us to try the boss before wrapping up?
I just thought that most people haven't seen the boss, so I thought it might be kind of a fun thing just to throw in to finish off.
Fine, fuck it. Let's do this shit.
Oh, hang on a second. That's wrong. Hang on a second. It's level 99, but it's the wrong one.
Damn it, Cobbett!
Hang on a second. Just die and just try again. I'm reading level passwords here.
You're ruining my show! Just like you've ruined my life.
Oh, well, that's separate.
Well, that is true.
And so
I'm now trapped in things. It's very easy to die when you can actually die. That's my fucking philosophical statement of the year. Oh, wait. There we go. Dead.
Let's see.
I just want you to know that I hate you. Right, that's Gedgeger.
All right.
Right.
Try.
Come on.
Try.
Give us the
Try EECFG.
E E C F.
Because there's like 99 levels, but then it kind of has like letters after that. And
Right.
let's see if this one's right.
B2.
No, that's not it. Oh,
I'm bored now.
I just want to get to. I just want to show the boss. It's fun.
What the fuck just happened?
I think this might be the happy ending or something.
Right. Richard, I don't know what's happening anymore. You've broken my tiny little mind.
I do not know. It's annoying.
This is all your fault. What have you done?
Is this the happy end or something?
This is not a happy ending, Rich, in any sense of the phrase.
Oh
Is
well.
this the boss?
Yeah, this is the boss. Right. So, super drunk. Basically, you get the bubble, and then all of the ones which you spit out become lightning bolts.
Right. And then you die.
And then you die because this guy takes 100 million hits.
Well, that was the boss. I'm ending the episode now.
I just thought people would want to see him.
Yeah. Are you pleased what Uncle Richard did for you? And how he's ruined my life again?
Your life can't be worth much if that killed it.
Well, quite. Anyway, so we've gone from the oddest NES cartridge in the world.
And can I just point out, with the emulator actually working for once?
Yes, you could do that in a minute, once I'd actually fucking wrapped up the episode.
Well, I won't feel like it then.
Fucking hell. I thought I'd missed you. I don't. I don't miss you, Richard. Go back to Resulka. Go back to fucking Piper.
3 parts of Piper still to come.
Oh, it's fucking awful as well. Anyway, you
It's
get
awesome.
your minute to pimp in a second.
It's a
Shut up.
musical
No,
star.
you shut up.
It's a
You
musical
shut up.
star in the Green
Fucking
Ranger.
prick.
How could you not like that?
Fuck you. Fuck you, Cobbett.
Oh, I just
Right.
Hang on, I'm just unplugging my headphones.
We have gone from the oddest NES cartridge in the world to why we shouldn't be taught Shakespeare. I think. I forget now. But I'm calling it there. I suppose thanks are in order to Cobbett for joining me.
Always a pleasure.
Go on, douche canoe. Go on, do your little pimping. Talk about Piper.
Well, if you really insist, it's the latest video up on my channel. It's a Let's Play kind of thing with Resulka, looking at Piper, which is an educational version of the Pied Piper of Hamelin, kind of, except that it's in the Wild West, stars the Green Ranger, is a musical, and I'm not quite sure what you're meant to learn, except that you should never ever combine these things into a game. Part 1 is already up, Part 3 and 4 will probably be going up next week, and Part 2 probably by the time you hear this. If you like that kind of stuff and the kind of nonsense that I do, come visit me at richardcobbett.com, support me on Patreon at patreon.com/ probably Richard, I think. Links on the site. And yes, I will now pass you back to Matt to continue filling your life with sunshine.
Fuck you. Right, yes. Well, for our own part, first of all, I want to apologise for this episode being like 3 weeks late, effectively. I'm very, very sorry for the impromptu hiatus. Rich had issues, I had issues, and it's one of those things where just confluence of events and all that. So very, very sorry, but as you can see, we're back now, and hopefully we won't have any more interruptions. And my apologies also for the impromptu hiatus for One More Go. Still a lot going on at geekplanetonline.com, and still a lot of work being done, and there just ain't enough hours in the day. There really aren't. So my apologies there. I'll be talking with Kim and trying to get back on track very, very soon. Now, that said, there's still a lot of wonderful content over at our parent site, geekplanetonline.com, for you to peruse. We are now on, I believe, episode 3 of the Cornell Collective, Paul Cornell's show, where he grabs a bunch of people from his magical black book, people from the worlds of comics and books and television, Doctor Who, that sort of thing, and has a jolly old chat with them for about an hour. And you can get that from cornellcollective.geekplanetonline.com. We are currently prepping the 3rd issue of GPO magazine, which, if you're a patron, you'll be getting on Wednesday of this week, 2 weeks ahead of the public. If you're not a patron, then you'll be getting the ad-supported version of that self-same show on the last day of the month, on the 30th of September. It's a magazine-style podcast. If you haven't yet dipped in, we've got it genuinely is the cream of the podcasting crop. We've got so many wonderful contributors, and we've got sections on video games and movies and books, and it's just a lovely listen. It's 3.5 hours long, linking narration done by yours truly, a little editorial, but it's mostly other people being utterly fantastic. So you can get that from magazine.geekplanetonline.com. If you would like to get ahead of time and ad free, then you can consider becoming one of our wonderfully generous, I can't speak, patrons. You can find out more at our Patreon site, patreon.com/geekplanetonline. That's enough waffling for me, and I guess we'll catch you in the next video. We'll try to have something up on Friday. We'll see how it goes. So thanks very much for watching, and this is One More Go, reminding you that games are for everyone. Spread the love. Ta-ta!
Bye!